Good afternoon, card community. It is RJ. Time for another video. Let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day. I have here a card set from 1981. This is known as the Topps Home Team Photos Phillies edition. It is a set of 12 cards. Each one has a similar back. It has the name of the player, position, and then a checklist of the 12 cards in this particular set. They're all about 5x7 essentially. And this set has 12 of the better players on the Phillies at the time. Mike Schmidt, obviously we all know him. Dick Ruffin was a starting pitcher, sometimes long reliever. Pete Rose, everybody knows Pete. Tug McGraw, a legendary closer of the Phillies. Won a ring with the Mets in '69 as well. Del Unser, phenomenal pinch hitter of the Phillies in the 1980 season. Manny Trio, our starting second baseman. Steve Carlton, enough said there. Bob Boone, our awesome catcher that season. Larry Bowa, the shortstop of the team. Greg Luzinski, primary left fielder. Gary Maddox, primary center fielder. Bake McBride, primary right fielder. So there you have it. Those 12 cards make up what is known as the Topps Home Team Photos Phillies edition. All right, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I was looking through some cards recently and I found a couple interesting cards. You might think, well, why is a 1991 score Gene Harris an interesting card? Well, it's the story on the back. I thought this was interesting. Gene was one of the 3 pitchers, including Randy Johnson and Brian Hallman, who were the others. The Mariners received in their big trade of Mark Langston to the Expos in 1989. So this individual was on the Expos and got traded to the Mariners. Mark Langston, here's his 1989 Donruss card, was traded from the Mariners to the Expos. I think that was the reason that this is kind of interesting to me is these 2 cards were in I bought a Fairfield box the other day. Had nothing but trash cards. I mean, I don't think there was a single Hall of Fame player in the entire box, which is a rarity. Usually you get one junk era Hall of Famer like Carlton Fisk or Dave Winfield or somebody that isn't ringing your bell and cost. Wade Boggs or George Brett, junk wax era cards are pennies a piece, really. Anyway, the fact that these 2 guys were linked in that trade and here they are in my Fairfield box, I thought was kind of interesting. I wanted to share that little tidbit with you. All right, today's trivia question. This is going to throw some of you a little bit of a curve. The prize is this umpire card. Now you may ask yourself, why in the world would you want an umpire card? Simple fact is this card is of Joe West. Joe West will be elected into the Hall of Fame. It's just a matter of when the Veterans Committee chooses to do so, but he has umpired more games than any other umpire in the history of the game. So it goes without saying. And he was still well respected as an umpire. It goes without saying that he will get into the Hall of Fame one year. And I picked up 5 of these Top Now cards when they first came out because of that very reason. Certainly going to keep 1 from my Hall of Fame collection when Joe West makes it. But that is your prize for this unique umpire trivia question. This day in baseball history, 1971. A 39-year-old housewife from New York sues organized baseball because she completed an umpire school, got her certificate, and signed a contract to be an umpire at the professional ranks with the New York and Penn League, only to have Major League Baseball, or I should say organized baseball, void her contract after 6 days, never getting a chance to umpire. She would later get that chance and retire after 1 game of work. Name this female umpire. Send me an email with the correct answer. My email will be in the description below along with the repeat of the question. And you'll have today and tomorrow to answer. We will pick a winner on Sunday, and somebody will get that Hall of Fame card of Joe West because he will be in the Hall of Fame. So Today, I want to show off a small set for you, something called the Topps Super Photos. Now, let me take a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. Showed you earlier this set right here. Where is it? This card from this set. So this is the 1981 Topps Home Photos card, Home Team Photos Phillies card of Mike Schmidt, because it has a checklist of the Phillies players. Now, in 1981, Topps also issued several versions of this set for a number of different teams. Not every major league team was selected. For whatever reason, they were particular about which teams they did sets for, and not every team got 12 cards in their set. Sometimes it was different. They also produced a 15 card that they call the National Home Team Photos. Why? Because it contained cards of various players from various teams. Mr. Schmidt made it into both, and you can see the only difference with the National one is that there was no checklist from the team on back. It was just this person was one of the 15 cards that made it into the National set. That's the only way to tell why these have different backs if you're a collector of cards that way. The ones with the checklist on back are part of the home team version. The one without the checklist on the back are from the National version of 15 players from all the different teams. Now, this was a follow-up to what was called the 1980 Topps Super Collection. Now, this is a Super card from 1980. The picture looks exactly the same, except for the fact that in 1981, they zoomed in a little bit better. Both of them have facsimile signatures on them. These were issued in 1980 in packs by themselves. Had this brown background to it. It was numbered out of 60 cards. There were 60 in the full set. Some of the stars of the game of the day. And then for whatever reason, late in the year, Topps issued direct to distributors, to dealers, another version of the card that had a white background, but no Topps logo on it. And nobody really knows why they did that. It was just something they did, the exact same card with a different background. And that is the explanation for that. So what I want to show off to you today, something for my small set. I have to reach for it over here. I have the entire 1980 60 card set, brown back, or gray back, I should say, collection. So these are all the 60 cards that made up the 1980 Topps Super grayback collection. Yeah, Mike Schmidt was actually number 2. Willie was number 1. So you'll see a lot of Hall of Famers in here, a lot of superstar cards. So those were 2 Hall of Famers right there out in the top, followed by Jim Palmer and Johnny Bench. They really did a good job of getting the stars of the game. Reggie Jackson, Jim Rice. Some of the signatures have blue, some of them have black. Lee Mazzilli and Ron Guidry, and the little New York connection there. They're obviously not real signatures, they're all facsimile signatures. Freddie Lynn and Don Baylor. Rod Carew and Ken Singleton. They're about 5x7. There are other all-star sets, George Brett and Steve Garvey from Donruss that were the 5x7 or 3x5 style. Dave Kingman and Tom Seaver. Remember, these cards came out during the summer of 1980. Dave Winfield and Dave Parker. Hopefully Parker gets in the Hall of Fame soon. Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose. Love those two. Carl Yastrzemski and Greg Nettles. I love the zoomed in style of these pictures. They're really fun to look at. Be a great thing to have little pictures of them all around your room or something like that. George Foster and Tommy John. Keith Hernandez, who might be in the Hall of Fame someday. And James Rodney Richard. I like the way he signed it. J.R. Richard. James Rodney Richard. Eddie Murray and Bob Horner. They're great pictures of great players from the era. Gorman Thomas of the Brewers. Steve, is it Kemp back there? Is that Steve? Yeah, Steve Kemp from the Tigers. Here's your relievers, or not reliever, one of your relievers, Bruce Sutter, Sixto Lezcano, Larry Boa, and Cecil Cooper. There you go. Ted Simmons and Al Oliver. Ted finally got in. I think Al Oliver, another guy, should get in there. Take a look at this. Take a look at the bling. Scoop. Nice. No idea what that's all about, but that's kind of cool. Jerry Koosman and Gary Templeton. Roy Smalley and Daryl Porter. Jason Thompson and Craig Swan. I have no idea who Jason Thompson is, first baseman for the Tigers. No clue. Craig Swan, I remember, the mediocre pitcher for a long time. Rick Manning and Andre Thornton. Andre Thornton was in the Phillies organization very early in his career. Never made it out of the minors with the Phillies organization. Got traded to Cleveland. And then Rick Manning. Yeah, Schmidt and Andre Thornton were teammates in the minors. So that's how I know these things. Phil Necro and Kent DeCulvey. Always loved Kent and his big dark glasses all the time. Always loved him. Randy Jones, former Cy Young Award winner, and Buddy Bell. Amos Otis and Tom Browning. Brian Browning, excuse me. Brian Downing. Up. See, Amos Otis and Brian Downing. Hall of Famer Gary Carter and Rick Bassetti. Jack Clark and Larry Parrish. I don't think Larry Parrish and Lance Parrish were brothers, but we have Cesar Cedeno and Bruce Bochy. This is not the manager of the Giants, Bruce Bochy. But there you go, Cesar Cedeno and Bruce Bochy. Look at this guy's name. I can't tell that one. This guy's got to be Chet Lemon. Chet Lemon and Dave Revering. I have no idea who Dave Revering is, but Chet Lemon I recognize. And then lastly, you got Davey Lopes and Vida Blue. So those are the 60 Topps 1980 Super Graybacks. There is an identical set, like I said, that you can purchase that has the white backs. They're more hard to find. Maybe a slight premium, but nothing insane. And the only difference is the white back versus the gray back with the logo on them. Not to be confused with the 1981 Home Team Portrait offerings, okay? And again, even they came out in two different styles. One, a 15-card national set. Two, a checklisted Phillies or team set with various numbers depending upon your team. So there you have it, people. That is my showcase today. I hope you enjoyed that little trip through memory lane and a small set that people often forget about. Those sets can be had for very little money. You know, go find them if you get a chance. Don't forget our trivia question. Your prize, you know, strange as it may seem, is an umpire card, an individual who will be a Hall of Fame umpire someday. So don't miss out on that one. Appreciate you stopping by. Please consider like, subscribing, commenting, and all that jazz. I really do appreciate your support as I try my best to support everybody else in this great card community, all right? Going to have another great trivia question and prize on Friday, so stop by for that. Once again, I appreciate you stopping by. Hope to see you again soon. So take care.